G'day, y'all. Mick Dundee from Australia. Welcome to Down Under. Now, I know my Australian accent's not very good, but we're going to talk about going on a trip to Australia. And yes, I have been to Australia. And it is a place where if you have a chance to go, you must definitely go. Absolutely, because it is an amazing place to go and visit. The longer you can spend down there, the better. So we're going to talk about Australia, we're going to talk about traveling, and we're going to wrap up and review lessons 21 through 24 as we talk about travel. So let's get started. All right, so in the first part, we're going to listen to a video where we're going to talk about Tom sharing his adventures in Australia and some ideas of things that he went to see when he was down there. We're going to talk and listen to what Casey might want to do when she goes down to visit. Now, Australia is a great place to go, and it is a very, very big place. And I know they make it sound like these places are very close, but these are half day or more bus travel between each one of them. And getting to the Great Barrier Reef from Sydney is not possible. You have to travel north before you can even make the trip out to the Great Barrier Reef. And the trip out to the Great Barrier Reef, that's an 8-hour hovercraft ride. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. So enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started and listen to this little conversation. So here we go.
G'day, mate.
Tom, why are you dressed like that?
I'm Crocodile Tom, and this is Tommy. We're taking a trip to Tom's travels in Australia. I brought photos for you.
I didn't know you went to Australia.
I was there last year.
How long were you there? Did you travel alone?
I was there about 2 weeks. My cousin lives there. I have friends in Sydney, so they showed me around.
What places did you visit?
I started in Melbourne. That's where my cousin lives. We went to an amazing old market there, Queen Victoria Market. They had all sorts of stuff.
Oh, wow. That looks great. How was the weather there? Was it cold?
Yeah, it was a little cool there, so you need to take a jacket. Then I went to Sydney. Look here. You have to take a boat trip to the harbor.
That looks nice.
After that, I went to the Gold Coast. That's north of Sydney. There are beautiful beaches there.
Oh, wow. It almost looks like real gold. Did you get around by bus?
No, actually, I prefer traveling by plane. Australia is a huge country, so bus trips take too long. By bus, it takes about 8 hours to get from Sydney to Melbourne.
Oh, yeah. That's long. So what else did you do?
I went up the coast and went scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef. You must go there.
Absolutely.
Oh, and this was the best part of the trip. I went to the most amazing park, Kakadu National Park.
That's gorgeous.
You can camp there, go hiking, and even make new friends. Casey, can you do me a favor while you're in Australia?
Yeah, sure. What is it?
Well, I met a cool friend at Kakadu National Park. Will you say hi?
Sure. How will I find your friend? Do you have an email address?
No, but he lives at the park. Take this.
Tom.
What?
That's a crocodile.
His name's Tommy. I named this after him. Please say hi.
Okay. So Tom is talking about his trip to Australia, and now he said that he started off in Melbourne, which is very far south in Australia. That's almost as far south on the mainland as you can go. You can also go to Tasmania, which is an island further south. But if you go in the off season, if you go there during Korean summer in Australian winter, it's going to be pretty cool there. Maybe not as cold as Korea is, but it's still going to be pretty cool because you're pretty far south. And he's right. You travel up the coast, you go to Sydney, and then if he went out scuba diving, he probably went further up all the way to Brisbane. Brisbane is the place where I went, and I took a trip out to the Great Barrier Reef from there. It is, and he's right. It is a long trip between those places. It's 8 hours and or more. So if you're going to go travel to Australia, plan to travel for a long time if you want to go things. One of the things that gets usually shortened if you want to go to Australia, people say, "Oh, we're going to go to the outback. We're going to go see Ayers Rock or Uluru," which is his real name. People don't realize how far of a drive it is from, say, Sydney to Uluru. You're looking at least 24 hours in a bus just to get there. And then to spend any time there, you have to be careful because they've closed a lot of the tourist attractions around there because there's a lot of things that are sacred to the Aboriginal people of Australia, which is the native people of Australia, and some endangered animals that only live around Uluru. And because of tourists, a lot of those things have become a lot worse. So a few years ago, they actually closed it. So you can't actually go up to Uluru anymore. You can go look at it, but you have to stay back away from it. You can't actually go climbing on it like you used to. I've never been to Uluru. I've only stayed on the coast, but I would love to go back, and it is worth the time. All right. Now, go back, look at the video. What did they talk about? How long did he stay there? How long would you like to go there? Put in some information about what they can come up with. And what do you think about Tom's trip to Australia? Did he convince you that you would like to go and see what it's like down under? If you do, by all means, go down there. One of the things to be careful if you do decide to go down there, some of the world's most dangerous animals make Australia as their home. But it's also some of the most beautiful country you have ever seen. And the people that I met there, I have met very few places that have been as friendly as Australia and New Zealand. Just have to be careful of the wildlife. But you can also have some fun. It's fun when you can actually go out on your balcony of your hotel and you can see different parrots, cockatoos, cockatiels, and if you're lucky, maybe even a cuckoo-cabra. Don't know what that is? I guarantee you've all heard its laugh in every jungle movie that you've ever seen. It's the one that goes, wah! It's a cuckoo-cabra. And to hear them in person, it's absolutely amazing. So let's move on. All right, so now we're going to review the 4 units we've done. Did you go alone? Sometimes it's fun to travel by yourself. Sometimes you might want to travel with a group. But before you travel, be sure you know who you're talking to because you could end up in a situation where, yeah, you end up with bad people in a bad situation. But before you do that, be sure you tell someone where you go. In class, I'm going to show you a quick lecture about why you should let people know where you're going. So pay attention to that because that will be a question that's on the quiz. Guarantee it. And so you'll need to know, why is it important not to go someplace without at least telling someone where you're going? Then we talked about which do you prefer. Now, people prefer to do different kinds of travels for different things. Do you prefer to go camping or do you like to go to the spa? Do you like having people wait on you or do you want to go someplace and just be as far away from civilization as possible? Everybody has a different preference and everybody's preference, hey, that's good for you. I like both. I like camping. I like being away from technology. But at the same time, I also like going someplace and just relaxing and being treated like a king. Hasn't happened enough in my life, but I think I deserve it once in a while. Then we talked about you must get a visa, talking about what things you need when you travel. I gave you a few suggestions while you're traveling of things to do, things not to do with specifically electronics and liquids. Go back and make sure you review those because those will be on the quiz. I guarantee it. And then we talked about schedules. What time is the next train? We talked about making sure that when you travel, you book enough time so that you're between places, you can rest, relax, and you're not rushing all the time because you can become the victim of weather and it can delay all of your good plans. So be very careful and budget accordingly. All right, now we're going on to everybody's favorite part of the lesson. We're going to the workbook. Excellent. So let's talk about the workbook. First, you're going to have to go back, listen to that video again, and fill in the missing parts of the dialogue. There are some things that they talk about with Tom and Casey. Try to fill it in without watching the video, but if you have to, go back, watch the video, fill in the missing words. Now, let's talk real quick impersonal pronouns. Now, personal pronouns, him, he, it, me, my. These are personal pronouns. They are something that refers directly to a person. He, she, me, I. They're personal. Impersonal don't refer to anybody specific. You, they. These are impersonal. When you have a single, you can also say one. These are impersonal, not focusing on any individual. You can focus on, oh, one man left his junk here. Well, who was that man? It could be a person. I don't know. So these are impersonal pronouns. Be careful with them. They don't have something specific that they refer to. Then go and take a look at these sentences and find out which one would best finish the sentence. Now, some can have more than one that finish the sentence. Try to find the one that's impersonal and best finishes the sentence. Then we have to talk about reflexives. Now, there are two ways that reflexives are used. Reflexive pronouns are used to bring attention back to the subject. But there are two ways that they can be used. To bring attention back, reflexive on me, or as a emphatic pronoun. Emphatic means you're trying to bring emphasis to it. So I am going to buy you a bus ticket. Barry is going to Portland with me. Now those have different subjects. The same subject. I need to buy myself a new bag. This means that I need to buy it for me. You can, as a reflexive pronoun, you can leave it out of most sentences. I need to get a new bag. That is still a perfectly good sentence. By putting the reflexive, you're putting the emphasis back on the subject. I need to get myself a new bag. You're putting it back on the subject. If you can take the reflexive out of the sentence, then it's reflexive. But if you cannot take it out, then it's probably emphatic. And we'll talk more about that in class. Now, singular and plural reflexive, I, myself, you, yourself, he, himself, she, herself, it, itself, we, ourselves, you, yourselves, and they, themselves. Be sure to practice those so that you can use them correctly. Read these sentences, circle the one that makes the most sense. Most of them are pretty obvious. Some may be a little bit tricky, especially if they try to confuse you on gender. Hint, when you get to a TOEIC test, they will try to confuse you by gender. If you don't know the name, then you have to take a guess whether it's male or female. Most of the time, they don't give you a name that's difficult, but there are some names that can be both male and female, and you just have to know. For example, Jamie. Jamie is a name that can be for a female or for a male. You have to look at the context. If they do that, there's usually a context clue that gives away the gender. My name, Jerry. Jerry can work for a man or a woman. For a man, it's usually short for Jared or Gerald. For a woman, it's usually short for Geraldine. These are, in English, we have feminine and masculine names. Most names have it that way. Not all, just most. All right, now, in the second part here, correct the reflexive pronoun. There is something wrong. Write it in so that you can make the correct pronoun with this sentence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're going to wrap up this review. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're learning a lot. We got one more video for this week, and then we're going to be cruising along and having a good time. So until that time, have a good time, and I will see you next time.